it down here, maybe we would be disfavoring, say, Keith Fitzgerald because we would be giving him more white votes. What they had was the start of a good idea. They really did, and I happen to agree. I think that we should find another way. And had they gone to, for example, like Iowa, who has an independent commission that does it,
right?
That independent commission then gives it to the legislature. The legislature approves or disapproves. If they send it back, they keep doing it, but they're in charge, okay? But the fact that they put in here you could not favor or disfavor a Republican or a independent or a person, a party or anything, it makes it practically impossible to do. And I'll give you a perfect example.
Sure.
Let's say that you've got 2 kids at home, or 2 kids living across the state, and you're going to spend Christmas with one of them. So you're going to disfavor the other one. Is that what you're saying?
No, you spend Christmas the following.
Christmas the following. No, it doesn't work that way. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing we can do in life that when we make a decision doesn't favor or disfavor something. If you leave my district exactly as it is, then you're going to disfavor the person who's going to run against me because I'm the incumbent. If you change my district, then you're going to disfavor me. And the problem with it is they just got too cute for their own thing. Had they gone and found any other state that was actually working, we wouldn't have this discussion. All this is going to do is lead to more and more lawsuits. The only people who like this, in fact, is the only money behind this, and really the big money, only 8% of the money has come from the small contributors. The rest of it has come from the big unions.
You're making a good argument. The only problem isn't your own district a gerrymandered district?
My district, you could consider gerrymandered, right. Okay? But it was gerrymandered, I believe, okay,
before
for a different reason.
Right.
It was gerrymandered before I went in. But I think that, they say, well, you're not going to get good representation. I would tell you, I probably have higher approval numbers in Lee County than I do in Manatee County, okay? Because I think I work hard on it. If I don't, then they should unelect me. But I don't think, can we do a better job drawing the seats? Absolutely. I really believe we could. But this won't work. This is just going to go to court because every single...
Don't they always go to court?
No, not really. A lot of the suits just go away because everybody's satisfied.
The court did settle, and the NAACP did endorse this redistricting.
Well, it's also interesting, but there's a lot of the minority leaders who aren't endorsing it, okay? Lewis, who was marched with King, doesn't endorse it. Al Sharpton, whether you consider him a big bat or not, they're individuals, okay? But if you would look at the Black Democrats, the African American Democrats, and the minorities that we've got in the Hispanic community that are working in the legislative process, most of them agree there is a huge danger that we're going to lose that representation. And they're on our side of the issue. I'm saying let's do another way, but let's do something that doesn't end up in court. You tell me how you can draw a line that doesn't favor or disfavor somebody.
Pretty tough.
I don't know how you do it. So why I don't need to pay the attorneys any more money.
Without packing the districts so that a party, we're down to the last minute of the first portion, without packing it, there needs to be a compactness of the thing and a contiguous nature to the districts. How that's done is a bit of an art. And I think Iowa's got the right idea, this independent thing, working on it all the time. When we come back, I think I'd like to talk about the PSC issue that you were part of. And, and I don't know we're going to have time to talk about the sales tax thing, but I've come on board with you a long time ago on that. So, let's just touch on this PSC controversy. Says there were people causing problems within the PSC for the people they represented or for the power companies and so on.
No, actually the problem that you had with Scope and Argenziano truly was Scope and Argenziano. They were very, very combative.
Okay, now we're going to pick right up at the break on this point. I knew I was going to cause a problem, so back after the break and do that. We're back, and you were touching on the controversy involving Argenziano, and you had
Argenziano and Scott both very, very argumentative type people. Even I can remember debating with Nancy in the Senate, and she never debates, she attacks, okay? So consequently, when someone disagreed with her on the PSC, it was always an attack on her part. Scott, he thought he was the most intelligent person ever walked the face of the earth.
Wasn't there a former editor of the Bradenton Herald that was sitting on that too?
David Clement was the, fact is I really pushed to get him appointed, and I fought very hard to keep him on there. And Dave was an interesting guy. I mean, here was a guy that wrote many editorial disagreeing with me, okay? However, I always found him to be fair. I never felt that he ambushed. He didn't attack people, Okay, Argenziano-scope attack people, so they caused such a controversy among the people that served on the commission, and I think that they kept trying to blame it all on the big utilities and the rest of it. I'm chairman of that committee that does the appointees, and you know, when you go through the process,
you're on Ways and Means too, aren't you?
I'm also on Ways and Means. I seem like I'm
everywhere.
Everywhere, but. Appointing people to the PSC is a huge job. I mean, and everybody wants to know how their power bills are going to be affected. And when Argenziano applied, she was a sitting senator. And to be honest with you, she did not make the first cut. I remember the Senate president putting pressure on us to go back and relook at the vote. And so after there was a retake of the vote, that was how she got nominated. She did not make the first cut. And the reason she didn't make the first cut is because everybody knew how controversial and how aggressive she was. But, you know, she did a good job while she was on there, except this thing of attacking people all the time. And
but now Dave Clement, you said, was a very moderate type.
Dave was a moderate guy.
But he was pushed out also.
But Dave was pushed out by the Florida Senate, I think, because they were upset with Charlie Crist. I think it was a very unfair judgment. The vote was fairly close, not as close as I would have liked.
He may have stayed in.
And I would have loved to have had David on there. I think David Clement would have done a great job.
Well, you got the blame for it.
That's, you know, but David Clement will tell you, I fought hard for him, and and we really did. But the as far as Nancy Argenziano not getting another interview, not getting another time, she didn't deserve it.
Oh, wow. Well, let's talk about sales tax versus the property tax. I've had this conversation with a number of people. And my personal opinion is that, and we just had Skip, you met at the break, and I've had this conversation. I think it's the way to make people secure in their homes, and create a financial, and especially in a state like Florida, making it a flat, simple, low tax or no tax in some cases. So that people, the dependency on funds for schools isn't there. It's in something that's based upon what really happens in the state, and sales would be it.
Well, I guess we're in agreement on that. I just believe that a consumption tax or a sales tax is the correct way to go. And when you have people staying at home and saving money and trying to set money aside for their tuition and their kids and stuff like that, we shouldn't tax people's savings. What we should, you know, if you're going to tax on the consumption side. And you say, well, geez, that's a regressive tax. Well, it's really not. And I would say it's really not, because if you consider the lower income people, okay, the primary money that they're going to be spending are on non-taxable items such as food and pharmaceuticals. The person who goes out and buys a big boat or buys an airplane or buys a new car or something like that, they pay the sales tax. What we've got is an imbalance in our sales tax, and we've got some weird things. I mean, that, you know, we don't pay sales tax to go out and hire a charter captain for $500 a day, but we're going to charge you to go out and buy a cane pole, okay, to go fishing. And so what we really should be doing is looking at how do we balance it out and do a fair tax. Some states tax everything, including food and pharmaceuticals, but they do it at a much lower level. They might have, say, a 6% sales tax, but only maybe a 1% on the food and pharmaceuticals. So I think that we should be able to do a better job than that on the property tax. I think that people should not be taxed out of their homes. I think Save Our Homes was a good deal, but that's another problem with constitutional amendments. We put that constitutional amendment in there, and so what happened is now all of a sudden the businesses are paying an undue burden. We should not be doing constitutional amendment changes because it makes it so difficult to go back and correct what we did wrong. When you think about most of our problems today that we deal with in the Florida legislature are the solutions of yesterday. The state of Florida spent millions and millions of dollars draining the Everglades. Now we're spending billions and billions of dollars fixing the Everglades. You know, when you put something into the Constitution, okay, it should be sacrosanct. It should be long and thought out. The class size amendment, I mean, I think that class size amendment only passed in 5 counties of the 67, okay? But the voting number was so big. So we should say, okay, not only do you have to have 60% vote, but you should also have, say, 51% of the counties voting in favor or something. So it's more evenly spread out. Because
you're saying basically on all these issues, There really is no criteria.
There is. I'm telling you, we have a problem. We call it the Californication of Florida. Everybody wants to change it in the Constitution. We have a representative form of government, elect those people, and unelect them when they don't do a good job.
Maybe we should move Tallahassee to Orlando.
I got to tell you, that would be a major, major war. You know, it'd be nice for me, a little shorter trip, but it's not something that's going to happen in our lifetime.
Maybe that's what contributes to these kinds of difficulties, though.
Well, it contributes. We're a very diverse state. When you look at the huge population, say, of Miami, and then all of a sudden you look up at a Levy County or a town of Carabel to try to find one law that fits all of these people, it's a very difficult job. And that's why it should not be in the Constitution. You have to allow your elected officials the flexibility to correct the mistakes that we make. I'm going to go back and correct Senate Bill 360, which was the growth management bill. We screwed it up last year. We put 2 subjects in there that the courts ruled that constitutionally didn't work, so we got to go back and fix it. Had that been in the Constitution, there'd be no fixing it. And that's a problem with constitutional amendments. The fact is, other than the one for the veterans and the class size, I would hope that they would vote against what I call the straight 4, 5, and 6, get rid of them all.
Thank you so much, sir.
You got it, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you for your audience.
No, thank you for coming then.
You got it.
It's a pleasure.